Hello everyone and welcome at Shanna. Now today we're going to work with Spellbinder's Tunnel Clouds, and this is part of the Tunnelscapes set and by Vicky P. And we've basically got these tunnel dies, and I've cut 3 panels of hammer mill cardstock white with these dies, and I've also cut my clouds, my sun, the center of my sun, and we've also got a moon and stars that I'm going to lay aside for now. That'll go on my second card. But for my first card, these are the dies that we used for this. And I'm just going to show you how it cuts out. There's the largest, the middle, and then the smallest. And for this, I did the hammer mill, and I'm going to bring in a couple of my ink, my Distress Oxide inks, and we're going to do some blending on these panels. Now I brought in, let me see, I did Speckled Egg and I think Stormy Sky are the two that I used for this particular blending. And I'm just going to blend my middle and my inner panel. The middle one I'm using the Speckled Egg, and the other one I'm going to use Stormy Sky, and I'm just trying to create some different cloudy colors is what I'm doing. And I'm just blending all the way around. Now you don't have to do the whole panel, and it's just under A2 size. I clipped these underneath ones about 1/8 of an inch narrower than I did the cover panel, so that they wouldn't stick out behind there. And then I'm going to bring in the Stormy Sky and my other blending brush, and I'm just going to blend up this particular panel here and just add some color to it and just make it a little bit darker blue, a little bit more of a stormy sky look. And I've decided to tape it down because I keep holding it and it moves on me, and I'm afraid of bending my paper, so I'm going to go ahead and get it taped down and just kind of hold it in place as I'm blending. And that way I won't bend my paper all up. It won't move around on me. So I'm just having to really grab some ink and get it inked up. I don't know if I need to re-ink this pad or what, and I'm just testing it to make sure I've got enough of the area covered, but I still want to get some more blue down on there, so I'm going to continue ink blending and get some more blue on there. So we'll do that, and then we'll begin working on our card. Now, I had never worked with tunnel dies or made a tunnel card before, and as I understand, this is not a new thing. It's something that goes back in the day, but we have this new release of these dies, and I think it's fun, and this will be the first time I've made a tunnel card, and these are super, super fun. So I'm going to clean up my desk here and get all this ink off so I can begin assembling my card and not making a mess. And I'm just using some alcohol and a sprayer and just spraying it down on a paper towel, just getting it all wiped up. And then we'll work on our card. So I'm just pulling my panels in, and I'm going to bring in some foam tape, and I'm just going to put some tape underneath each layer of this to create a little bit of space between there and, you know, kind of create a gap so we'll have more of a tunnel look. And I use this scrapbook.com really thin foam tape, and I have some that I use for shakers, and this is not the kind. I had accidentally bought some that is thinner than what I normally buy, and I'm just using it on here because I want to get rid of it. It's really thin, and it's kind of hard to work with. It wants to stick together. And I need to get some more of the kind that's a little bit thicker. I think it's the dimension that's off. But I think these are 1/8 of an inch in size. And so there we go. So I'm just going to do each panel just like that and put that little bit of foam tape between each, and then that'll give me, you know, a shadow and a place to tuck anything in that I would want to tuck in. And we're just going to repeat this on the next layer. I'm just going to take some more of that foam tape, get it laid down on there, and then we'll layer up the next layer. And you can see how flimsy it is. It's not firm like the other foam tape that I previously bought. And it was 1/8 of an inch that I previously bought, but there must be 2 types, and this is a less, lower dimension than the one that I normally buy, and it's pretty flimsy. So I'll just get it laid down on here, and we'll layer up the next level. And I'm using my bone folder to just make sure it gets a good press on there, and then I'll pull off the release paper, and then I'll get it laid down. And there we go. And so now we've created a tunnel for our card base. And I'm going to trim up, if you don't get them layered up exactly right, you've got a little bit of paper peeking out behind there. So I'm just going to trim it up, and then it'll be fine. And so now I'm going to look at it. I've got to do something to my panel so that I don't just have stark white behind there. And so I was thinking, what am I going to do? And so I'm grabbing my a couple of my ink blending brushes that I already have some ink on. And I am just going to blend like a little bit of yellow and a little bit of orange in there. And I'm thinking it's going to be like the glow that you get from the sun when the sun is shining. And so I'm just going to use up what's on those brushes. Didn't even bother getting the ink pads out to add anything. And I'm just going to use what's there, and I think that'll be fine because I'm going to put my dye right over it. So even if I don't have perfect blending, it'll still work because I'm going to put that sun dye in the center of that and just create my scene with that. So I think it'll turn out okay. So now I'm just going to bring in some glue and just glue that panel down. I've got enough dimension with the other layers, and I grabbed my sweet petunia and it was clogged because I left the lid off and hadn't crafted with it for a day or so. And so I'm just going to grab one of my little glue bottles, and it doesn't even have a tip on it, so it comes out pretty thick, and I'll just get it laid down on there. I've got to get some more glue and get my sweet petunia glue bottle filled back up so that we're good to go. And there we go. So I've got that laid down on there, and I'm just going to blend my sun. I just used some yellow cardstock that I had laying in my bin, and I'm going to put some ink on there and just add a little bit of orange to the outer area of the sun, and then I'll put my little orange piece in the center, and then we'll just lay it down there kind of in that area where it's a little bit more orange, and then we'll just have the glow of the sun. And when I look at this, I'm thinking it's almost like there was a storm, and the storm broke, and the clouds are beginning to peek out from, or the sun is beginning to peek out from all of those clouds. That's kind of what I think about when I look at this particular scene here. So I'm putting some of that thin foam tape on the part that's going to hang over, and I'm just going to tuck in one of my clouds. And then I'll do the same with the other two and just try to figure out exactly where I'm going to place them. And I think this is a really fun set. So I will link all the products in the description box below so that you can check them out. And these are all part of the new releases. And so I'm going to do the same thing with the foam tape, get this other cloud laid down. And I'll have 2 on this side, and then I'll bring in another one for the other side and just kind of balance it out a little bit. Now, yesterday I did a video with the airplane and the kite, and you could certainly add either of those to these tunnelscapes and make a very fun card. In fact, I might play around a little bit with it more and do that at a later time. I think that would be quite fun. But for now, I wanted to showcase this complete set, and so I'm using the clouds, and I'm going to use the sun and the tunnel dyes, and then I'm going to bring in a night scene as well. So I'm going to lay that aside and work on the next one. However, I'm not finished with that. You're going to see I'll come back to it and make some changes to it. So I'm taking my bone folder and pressing the other card base that I've got laying there. And I have already done some ink blending. I took my black soot and made a circular area. First I used my mustard seed and I put some yellow down, and then I took the black soot and I blended around it. So we've got like a nighttime scene, and I've got that yellow, which is going to be what is glowing from the moon. And so I've just created that, and I'm just going to get it laid down on this panel. Now, this panel is a little bit smaller than my A2 size card base, and I wanted to shift it to the left a little bit so that my glow is in the area that I want it to be. So that's why I picked it up and then moved it. And so we're going to do the same thing with the foam tape again. And then we will work on this card. So let's just have a little chit chat while we're doing this, since we've already talked about what I'm doing. So very, very busy week. Yesterday was my birthday. I went out with my daughters and my girlfriend and my sister. We went to a place called Cake Bake, where you can get the most fabulous cakes and a wonderful meal. It's a very girly shop. Everybody kind of dresses up in their fun little dresses, and it's like having a tea party as an adult. So we went and did that, and we had a wonderful meal, and we had cake and just had a good time. And so then today, and it's been, like I said, an incredibly busy week. Today we took the kids to the zoo. So we had my two youngest grandsons, and then we had my granddaughter, and then we had my sister's granddaughter, oldest granddaughter. And we took them and we went to the zoo, and we spent the whole day there. We were there. We left the house around 9 o'clock, and we didn't get home until about 5:30. So it was a long day, and we wore those kids out, and those kids wore us out. But we really put in some steps and made our way around the whole zoo, and did, the kids did some rides, and got to see a lot of the animals. And we carried in a picnic, and we went out of the park for a little bit and had our little lunch, and then we went back in. So my sister wound up kind of manning the rides. The kids, I rode on the merry-go-round with the little kids and the big kids, and then my sister went on the sky lift with the big girls and the oldest grandson. They did that, and then she took the kids on the log ride while I was doing some other things with my other grandson. Anyway, so and they got to play in the water and just have fun. It was a really good time. But we were all tuckered. When we got in the car, the oldest grandson, who had not taken a nap, just passed out, threw his blanket over his head in the car seat and just passed out. He was exhausted, but I think he had a good time. I think the kids will really sleep good tonight for their mom. So anyway, so now I'm gluing this up and I'm laying it down. And you can see I've got, a nighttime scene with the colors that I've chosen for my paper. And so the first one I did the ink blending. The second one I did the ink blending on the base of the card, but then I chose colored cardstock to use and die cut out, so I didn't blend those. And then I'm just going to lay my moon right here in this little glow, and then we'll bring in our stars and our clouds, and we will adorn our little scene here. So I've got Craft Roulette playing in the background, and just wanting to get this voiceover so that I can run this tomorrow, and they are getting ready to make the selections, the parameter selections. So we'll see how that pans out. So I've got 3 stars that I die cut out. I got them laid down, and then I'm going to take these dark gray clouds and tuck them in. And this is just going to be my nighttime scene. And I've got my dark clouds. And I think this is really fun. So I'm using some more of that foam tape to just level it out because I'm going to hang over layers with my clouds. And so I'm just going to put that foam tape where I need it to where it'll help them to lay flat. And we'll get a good adherence. I've got to add some glue to that. I keep tucking it in and checking it, but I'm going to have to get some glue on there so that it'll be sure and stick well. And I was thinking as I was doing this, I needed to come up with some sentiments, and I really wasn't sure what I would use. But and so I did the cards and got them all assembled and everything, and then I left and went to the zoo. Excuse me. And when I got home this evening, I got to looking into my Spellbinder stamp sets because I wanted to use something Spellbinders, and I was able to find some sentiments to use on these cards. So I'm just tucking my clouds in where I want them to be and bringing in some more foam tape and getting it laid down, and then then this will pretty much put our cards together. I will come back in and we'll put on some embellishments and some sentiments so that we can finish that off. And so I'm just going to press that bone folder on there and get it stuck really well, and then just pull that release tape off. I find if I don't always use that bone folder, sometimes I pull the tape right off. So there we have it. I have both of my scenes built, and we've got a daytime and a nighttime with our tunnel clouds. And I've decided that that white is just too stark. So I brought that blending brush back in that I had the speckled egg on, and I just took the ink that was on there and just kind of lightly blended over that white panel, and I think it helped. I liked how it turned out. The stark white was just too much, so I tried to be really light and just add a little bit more color, and I was real pleased with how that turned out. And so I couldn't leave well enough alone, and I decided that I was going to bring in my Stormy Sky brush and blend over the colored cardstock that I had there and just add a little bit of darkness to it as well. So I just kind of went around the edges and just kind of picked up just a little bit of that glue. I don't know that you can see it very well on camera, but you can see it a little bit. There's not a lot of blending, just enough to add a little bit of dimension to it. So I'm just grabbing a little bit more ink and going to add a little bit more. And I think it looks okay. So then I got all this done, and then I left and I went to the zoo. And then I came back in the evening, and that's when I grabbed these stamps. And I think both of these are from the Advent calendar from last year. And I'm just going to take the cutout piece that I used for the outer die on the night scene, and I'm going to bring in this sentiment here, and I'll get it stamped down, and then I'm going to bring the other one in, and we'll get them stamped down. What I've got is have an amazing day, and I have one that says sending good thoughts. And I'm just going to bring in my Memento black ink and ink up the two sentiments, and we'll just stamp them down on this piece of scrap paper I've got here. Just cleaning it up a little bit, and then we'll just press down lightly, and then we'll give them a second inking. And again, press down lightly, just because they're fine sentiments. I don't want to smudge them. And then that'll work. That looks good. So I'm going to grab one of my Spellbinders dies that we can die cut these out with after I get my stamps cleaned up and put away. So I'm just bringing in my A2 Matte Ink Basics, and I'm looking at a couple dies. I was thinking that boxy one, but I'm going to use the strip die, and I'll just die cut both of these out, and then we'll get them laid down on our cards. So sending good thoughts, I'm going to put on the inside of this card, and that'll be what we'll do with our sentiment here. I'm just going to lay some glue and just get it stuck down, and it's just going to be a sending good thoughts card. I think it's fun. And then on this one, I've got have an amazing day, and I am going to trim it down because I want to put it on the front, and it's entirely too big. And I actually laid the die on there a little bit crooked, so you're going to see I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to cut it at an angle and just trim it down real small. And then we'll just add this to the front of our card. And I think since we've got a day scene, I think have an amazing day will look good with it. And so we'll get some of that foam tape and put it on one side of it, and then we'll add some glue and get it laid down. I'm going to double it up because it's going across multiple layers. We'll just add a little bit of glue and the foam tape, and we'll get it stuck down on our card base. And then I had recently purchased some enamel dots from Altenew, and the colors were perfect for this. So I'm going to grab those and bring those in, and we're going to lay some of those down on there for some embellishment. And I'm just looking at it to see what colors I like. These enamel dots are in the color Seashore. And I think it's a good match with my color schemes here. So I'm just going to lay 3 down on the night one, and then we'll put 2 on the lower left. I'm fidgeting with this one, trying to get it to line up evenly and be evenly spaced apart. And then we'll put 2 on the lower left side, and then I'm going to grab my other card, and we're just going to add a couple of those to it as well. So we'll put 2 in the upper left and then just 1 in the lower, and that'll finish off our cards. I think they turned out nice. It was fun working with them for the first time. So have a great day. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate your time. Take care. Bye-bye.